In an unexpected political earthquake, Tokyo has abruptly halted all Chinese immigration, suspending visas, shutting down labor exchange programs, and tightening its borders overnight. The decision sent shockwaves across East Asia. As Beijing voiced outrage, fear spread among Chinese residents in Japan, who now face uncertainty amid sudden policy changes. For years, Japan and China walked a delicate line, trading partners in public, rivals in private. China became Japan's biggest supplier of goods, tourists, and low-cost labor, while Japan offered the innovation and investment that powered China's growth. But beneath the handshake diplomacy, mistrust simmered. Japanese firms raised alarms over data theft, espionage, and covert acquisitions by companies tied to the Chinese state. Meanwhile, Chinese migrants, entering through student labor and investor channels, began forming vibrant enclaves in cities such as Tokyo, Osaka, and Yokohama. At first, it seemed like a win-win relationship. Japan's aging population created labor shortages, and Chinese workers filled the gap. By 2023, more than 1 million Chinese nationals were part of Japan's workforce, driving industries from restaurants to logistics and manufacturing. But success bred tension. Reports of illegal residency, technology leaks, and underground crime rings began to emerge. Intelligence officials warned that some organizations might be serving Beijing's geopolitical interests under the cover of business and education. The situation escalated when espionage stories dominated national headlines. A defense contractor was caught sharing classified designs with a Chinese intermediary, and shortly after, police uncovered a student-led telecom fraud network with links across Asia. Public outrage exploded. Then came the revelation that over 40% of Japan's visa violations in 2024 were linked to Chinese nationals. It was the spark that ignited a political firestorm. Nationalist lawmakers seized the moment, calling for a complete reassessment of China's presence inside Japan's borders, from universities to private corporations. The government responded decisively. Student visa approvals were slashed, training programs were terminated, and new background checks were introduced for investors. Beijing condemned the move as discriminatory and politically charged, but Tokyo stood firm, declaring it a matter of security, not sentiment. For the first time in decades, Japan had drawn a line, refusing to be an extension of Beijing's economic sphere. The new immigration policy has become one of the most dramatic shifts in Japan's post-war history. Within weeks, Tokyo froze new visa applications across all categories, including students, investors, and family reunions. Work permits are under review, renewals delayed, and many residents are now caught in bureaucratic limbo. At airports like Narita and Kansai, travelers from China face enhanced screening, with some being denied entry despite proper documentation. Inside sources say immigration officers have been instructed to focus on applicants tied to high-risk industries such as communications, logistics, and advanced technology. Japanese media report that more than 5,000 visa applications were suspended during the first week alone. Officially, the government cites national security as the driving factor, but insiders suggest a deeper motive, a long-awaited countermeasure to years of silent infiltration. A leaked intelligence document from Japan's Public Security Intelligence Agency revealed startling claims. At least 30 Chinese-run language schools were under investigation for alleged recruitment and data transfer activities. For Tokyo, this was confirmation of a long-standing fear that foreign influence had seeped deep into its academic and technological institutions. Japan's immigration freeze is more than a border policy. It's a message. After decades of restraint, the nation has made its stance clear: sovereignty first, security above all. Chaos has erupted across Chinese communities in Japan after Tokyo's sweeping immigration freeze. In Tokyo's Ikebukuro district, long known as a hub of Chinese culture and commerce, uncertainty now hangs heavy in the air. Crowds gather outside immigration offices, desperate for answers about their legal status. On WeChat, messages spread like wildfire, whispers of sudden deportations and police inspections. Chinese-owned restaurants are half empty as fear grows. Landlords now demand proof of residency before renewing leases, while employers in food, logistics, and construction scramble to replace missing workers. Yet, to Japan's surprise, the public stands firmly behind the crackdown. An NHK national survey found that 2/3 of Japanese citizens support stricter immigration rules, citing national security and social stability as key reasons. Beijing's foreign ministry fired back, accusing Tokyo of reviving Cold War hostility and sowing division. But Japan's leaders insist this is not a move against the Chinese people. It's a stand against interference. The message is unmistakable. Japan is redrawing the boundary between diplomacy and defense. The consequences are spreading far beyond immigration lines. Universities and research institutes are quietly severing partnerships with Chinese organizations. Several technology ventures are on hold, pending national security audits. Even cultural exchanges, once pillars of friendship, are being re-examined. In Osaka and Nagoya, protesters carrying banners reading "Protect Our Future" have rallied in support of the government's stance. For many Chinese nationals in Japan, the sense of unease is overwhelming. Some are packing up voluntarily, fearing that forced removal is next. Travel agencies report soaring demand for one-way flights to mainland China. Others describe being denied housing, losing contracts, and having job offers abruptly canceled. The wave of anxiety is no longer confined to Japan. Taiwan and South Korea are reportedly considering similar restrictions amid their own security concerns. Analysts in Washington and Brussels now view Japan's actions as a potential template for managing China's global influence. This sudden shift did not emerge overnight. It's the result of years of quiet tension, espionage scares, and public distrust toward Beijing's growing presence. Behind the scenes, Japan's intelligence community had long warned of infiltration under the guise of education, business exchange, and investment. Chinese-linked entities were said to have built a vast network within Japan's academic and industrial systems. Several high-profile cases made the threat impossible to ignore. A defense engineer caught transferring submarine blueprints, a student researcher accused of leaking nanotechnology data to a Chinese military contractor. Each revelation reinforced the fear that espionage was not hypothetical. It was happening. What once seemed like mutually beneficial cooperation had turned into a national security nightmare. As dependence deepened, Japan realized it was vulnerable. What began as an economic convenience, hiring cheap labor and welcoming investors, had quietly evolved into a test of sovereignty. Local entrepreneurs voiced frustration over what they called state-backed competition from Chinese-owned firms. Communities with large Chinese populations grew divided as crime reports and underground syndicates linked to cross-border fraud added to public unease. Media stories, often dramatic and repetitive, fed a growing perception that Japan was being quietly undermined. With an aging workforce and limited jobs, many citizens began to see foreign influence not as opportunity, but as intrusion. Japan's immigration freeze cannot be separated from its regional awakening. As China expands its maritime presence across the East and South China Seas, Tokyo has strengthened defense ties with the U.S. and its allies. When a Japanese businessman was detained in China on espionage charges early in 2024, tensions hit a boiling point. By year's end, Japan's National Security Council officially labeled China a long-term strategic threat. Cutting off immigration, then, became more than border control. It became a declaration of intent. Japan is signaling to the world that it will no longer trade autonomy for economic gain. The doctrine now shaping Tokyo's new policy is simple but profound: self-preservation through separation. For decades, Japan tried to balance cooperation with caution, but in this new era of uncertainty, it has made its choice: sovereignty over dependence. Tokyo's leadership knows the risks of tightening immigration, economic strain, diplomatic tension, and public backlash, yet believes hesitation would be even riskier. Behind the official term security reform lies a deeper goal: reclaiming control over borders, industries, and national direction. What began as policy has become a statement of identity. For a nation known for restraint, Japan's new stance marks a historic shift. As Tokyo redefines its relationship with Beijing, other Asian nations are watching closely, deciding whether to follow or forge their own path. Many Chinese residents describe uncertainty, crowded immigration offices, anxious parents, and students feeling isolated as schools and employers demand new verification. In places like Yokohama's Chinatown, once busy markets have gone quiet as rumors of checks and inspections circulate. Some long-term residents are choosing to leave quietly rather than face scrutiny. Online, emotions are running high. Posts across Chinese social media reflect confusion and disappointment. "We came here to work, not to cause trouble," one user wrote. Meanwhile, state outlets frame Japan's policy as politically motivated, fueling mutual suspicion. Within Japan, the picture is divided. Nationalists celebrate what they see as a defense of sovereignty, but small businesses are struggling with labor shortages. Restaurants, farms, and factories are losing vital workers, and universities worry about declining international talent. Economists warn the long-term costs could outweigh the short-term security gains. At a deeper level, the move is reshaping Japan's national image. Once seen as measured and diplomatic, the country now projects firmness and caution. Older generations call it overdue protection, while younger citizens wonder if it fits the global identity Japan has built for decades. The result is a growing emotional divide. Narratives on both sides, whether of exclusion or interference, reinforce each other, hardening mistrust. For ordinary people, the consequences are personal: disrupted lives, broken trust, and fading opportunity.
Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We will keep reporting on the COVID surge in China, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to get the latest videos. And thank you for tuning in.